ultimately to get beyond 1 million, to start running multiple estimators, multiple project managers, you need structure, you need systems, you need process. And that the beauty of it is that path is like well trodden. It's not a new path you need to to go down to become a $5 or $10 million painting business. It's very specific and very obvious what you need to do from there. But yeah, if you're trying to do it on your own, it will be very challenging. Not to say you can't do it, but it's just going to take a lot longer. So some coaching, some accountability, some structure will certainly help you speed up that path.
Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe.
So I was really stoked when I found out that Tanner had invited me to go first at today's presentation, because you guys are going to be learning so much, and I want to make sure that you can actually get this stuff in your brains and action it. So what I really want to help you guys with is some time management skills that you need to finally hit 7 figures, practical strategies to scale with less stress. And from the outset, this doesn't seem like the sexiest topic, right? We're not talking about leads or sales or dollars or like dopamine or anything like that. It's just like, let's figure out how to get more done in less time. And you'll realize that this actually is the sexiest topic that we could cover, because it's that important. So yeah, guys, welcome to Contractor Impact. Tanner, thank you for putting this on. Yeah, this is huge, and hopefully I can bring some heat and help you guys learn something. So my goal is to not only give you as much value as possible in the next 30 minutes, and just for your how I process for my presentation is just I have slides, and I'll read the slides. They'll kind of riff off some of the slides as well. So if you're a visual learner, you can follow along. I'm a visual learner, so it helps me kind of stay on track. So I don't just want to provide you as much value as possible in the next 30 minutes, but I actually want to make you change your behavior. Because to learn something is to be faced with the same input, the same situation, and do a different behavior and do something different, right? Same input, different behavior. And that's what I want to do here. And you're going to learn a lot over the next 2 days. You're going to learn the latest marketing tactics. You're going to learn recruiting and hiring techniques, Facebook ads, Google ads, door-to-door tactics, motivation, production techniques, whatever, right? But if you don't have time to implement any of these things, it's all useless. So what I want you to do is just go to the chat and put a 1 in the chat if you feel too busy a lot of the time. Like, man, I'm just way too busy. I got to figure this out. All right, we got a couple of 1s coming in. Just a few. Cool. So good to know we're in the right spot here. Time management is literally the single most important skill that you need to master in order to scale your business. That's not like a rhetoric. That's not being over exaggerating. Like, you need to be a master of time management if you want to scale your business. So I'm going to show you the easiest and what I find the best way to manage your time and literally get between 5 and 20 hours per week of your time back. And if you add that up over a year, over 5 years, this could be worth millions of dollars to you. I want you to be able to get more done in fewer hours as well. So you're not just getting your time back, but you're also being more productive. And I know that sounds hard to believe, but the vast majority of small business owners are very bad at time management, right? Could you believe it? But managing your time is the single most important skill that you need to grow your business. So as you grow, time is your limiting factor. More and more things get put on your plate. You're producing more and more jobs. You're doing more and more sales. But if you're just working on what feels important, or even worse yet, painting or producing all day, your business is just going to remain small. Your output of your business is going to be exactly relative to the input that you put in. And if you're putting in low value inputs, your business is going to remain small. My goal is to help you transition your mindset, at least, from being a 6-figure hustler to becoming a 7-figure CEO. So that's kind of going to be the theme of today. Are you a 6-figure hustler, or are you a 7-figure CEO? All tasks fall into one of these 4 quadrants, right? We have urgent and important. We have not urgent and important. We have not important and urgent. And we have not important and not urgent. And what we want to do is we want to spend our time in this second quadrant, right? Q2, not urgent, but important. But what ends up happening is all of the Q1, the crises, the emergencies, the important and urgent tasks come in and they flood our calendars and they cause us to be reactive and live in this reactive state. And as long as we're living in a reactive state, we're never going to have that proactive time to build our business and work on the things that truly matter. So the value of your time and the inputs that you put into your business are directly correlated to which tasks you decide to do in that day. And a lot of people just, I'm going to get to that in a second. So we have a few different categories of output. And for people who have heard me talk before, who have listened to the podcast, you've heard this already, but I'm just going to do a quick overview of it. So the lowest level of tasks that you have in your business are your production related tasks. And I do painting coaching, but I know there's people from all other trades here as well. But so it's going to be focused on painting, but you can apply it to your respective trades. So level one, tier one task is a $50 an hour task. This is things like painting, production, running tools. As long as you're painting, as long as you're pushing paint or on the tools, you're only making about $50 per hour for your business. And you could argue, say, "Oh no, I'm making $100 an hour." Okay, that doesn't matter. $50 to $100 per hour is the maximum that you're making for your business. And if you take, that $50 per hour and times that by 40 hours per week and 52 weeks a year, that's only $100,000. And I don't think anyone here is in the business in order to just make $100,000. We want more than that for our businesses. The next level up is your $500 an hour tasks. This is like estimates, sales particularly. So, if your average job size is $3,000 and you close one out of three estimates, that's $1,000 per estimate. And if you have 50% gross margin, that's $500. So very easy to see that sales is a $500 an hour activity. If you could spend all day doing sales, your business would be much bigger than it would be if you spent all day painting. Then we have your $5,000 hour activities, which is specifically around recruiting and training. And so if you think about it, if it takes you, 10 hours to recruit a top tier producer, and that producer can bring in $150,000 per year at like a 33% net profit margin, that's 150K, 33% is about 50K, 10 hours, 5K an hour, pretty easy to see. And there's a $50,000 an hour initiatives, which are your strategic initiatives, working with your coach, building out big marketing campaigns. And you got to really earn the right to increase in this ladder, but you want to try to be pushing yourselves, pushing your hourly activities up this ladder as much as possible. Because you can't just decide to spend all of your time in that 5 to 50,000 per hour block. You need to earn those hours. And I'm hoping that I can help you earn those hours here. So you need to understand where you need to be spending your time to maximize your value in the business. I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking, okay, I understand the concept, but like, what should I be doing? How should I be spending my time? Okay, I stop painting and I just sit in my truck and cruise Instagram, right? That is not the same thing as being maximally productive for your business. So if you're a growth-oriented contractor, you should not be painting. You should not be delivering paint. You should not be setting up jobs. And if you're still doing these things, you should be doing everything in your power to get them off of your plate. Every time you're doing a task in your business, I want you to ask yourself, would a seven-figure CEO be doing this? Like, really, is this something that is seven figures? If my business was doing $1 million a year or $2 million or $5 million, would the CEO of that business be doing this task would they be cleaning paint off of carpet, right? For example. Probably not, right? They would figure out how to get their time back to make someone else do those low value tasks so they could be doing off doing CEO stuff. So if I were to start my painting company again, I would immediately hire a marketing team, an estimator, a project manager, a couple crews of painters, and a bookkeeper. Because I know my time would not be spent doing the task, but it would be training and developing those people. I would focus all my time on training and developing my people, which are the $5,000 per hour activities. And I recognize that going straight to recruiting some of those people costs money, obviously. And when you don't have money, when you don't have like an abundance of capital in your business, if you don't have 5 or 6 figures in your bank account of operating income or operating capital, the most valuable thing that feels productive, it feels like we should be doing, is painting and producing. Even if we're a 1 or 2 man show, it feels like we should always be pushing paint. We should be putting 10 hours a day on the wall, right? Unfortunately, feelings are not a strategy. So we want to get out of this whole feeling aspect of it. But even if you're not in a position where you can hire those positions right now, there are things that you can do to start working towards that level that are all free. And that's what I'm going to start taking you through right now. So if that's you, right, if any of that is hitting, then your next step is to implement a few of these dead simple systems to become a better steward of your time, which will help you shift from being a six-figure hustler to that seven-figure CEO that I know you have the ability to be, and I know you want to be. So to be more productive, to feel less stressed, to make more money, to get more done in less time, and ultimately to be happier, follow these steps. Okay. Number one, religiously use an online calendar. I recently did a poll and I asked how many contractors were using an online calendar, and it was terrifying how many people were not. So imagine they just wake up in the morning and answer the phone and run to the closest fire. And that is terrifying to me. Block schedule consistently. I'm going to show you a couple examples of block scheduling and how you can get more done in less time. I have an activity for you called the 3D activity, which is going to help you either do, delegate, or dump your tasks and the things that you do in a day. I need you to be ruthless with your time, absolutely ruthless. And to be successful in business, you really need real accountability. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. Now, these steps might seem simple. You might have heard of many of these before. You might be familiar with them, right? But familiarity and recognition is not the same as true understanding. So that's what I want to help you bridge, is that bridge from recognition to understanding. So number one is religiously use an online calendar. So you must be using a Google Calendar or some sort of similar online calendar and put everything in it. Personally, I use Apple calendars, but I use Google Calendar, but like it goes into my Apple Calendar because I love the Apple ecosystem. It's got my phone, my iPad, my computer, it all syncs. I don't know if you use the web app, but it is through Google. But and I just prefer it. So this is like what an average week for me looks like. It's a lot of stuff going on, and if I were to just try to get things done by waking up and figuring out what to do, there's 0% chance I would be 5%, 1% as productive as I'm able to be because I use a calendar. This is like absolute necessity for anyone wanting to run a seven-figure business. And if you want to be a seven-figure CEO, you need to start acting like it. And it literally starts here. If you aren't doing this, you have no excuse. Hey, why aren't I growing? Well, this is why, because you're not taking responsibility for yourself and your time. So go to calendar.google.com, set up your calendar, sync it to your phone, add a home screen widget. And if you have to, set a reminder every 2 hours. I heard from a few clients and a few people that they got set up on everything, but they kept forgetting to check it. So by the end of the day, the time got away from them and they started chasing fires. So what we recommend is to set a reminder timer every 2 hours to just check your calendar and make sure you're still on task. And you only have to do that for a couple of weeks before it becomes a habit. So this is my home screen on my phone. Literally, it's just my calendar. And I have this home screen widget, which is the only thing that I see when I open my phone. And that allows me to always stay on my calendar while I'm on my phone. Just really keeps things prioritized for me. Now, the next step is to use block scheduling and put in your important priorities first. Do not schedule production first. This is a huge mistake that people make. It's like, oh, I need to paint. I'm still the best painter or the best producer on my team, so I need to schedule my production first, right? Wrong. That should be scheduled last. Even if you're the best producer on your team, and you want to attribute, say, 30 hours a week to production, you still need to schedule that around the important things. So when are you doing your marketing? When are you calling your strategic partners? When are you doing estimates? When are you working on recruiting? When are you training your team? When are you doing your bookkeeping or your financials? When are you doing your one-to-ones with your team? Right? If you just schedule your production first, these things aren't going to get done. And these are the important things. So these are the things that should be scheduled first before anything else. And if you don't prioritize the high value activities first, then all of your time are going to go to your reactive operations, which is the exact thing that keeps you down. But like I said earlier, it feels productive. It feels like the thing that you should be doing in the time. It's like, oh, I'm cranking out this job. I'm collecting that money. Like this feels really good for a six-figure hustler, right? That's the asterisk that you're missing, is that it feels productive for a six-figure hustler, but not what a seven-figure CEO needs to be doing. So this is, if you're still painting, this is what a potential block schedule could look like for you. So as you can see, we have painting every day. We have some marketing initiatives. We have weekly financially and payroll. We have marketing strategy. We have recruiting. We have estimates. We have callbacks. We have crew moves. We got paint store. We got family time in there, right? Which is super important. And if you put this in, if you build your calendar like this and you hold yourself to it and you set that timer every 2 hours, you're going to get so much more done. And yes, you might paint a little bit less, but if you're able to be productive and actually get some of these business building things done, your business is going to be way further along in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months than it is if you just cranked out that extra 5 to 7 hours per week of production. To be successful at this, you need to ensure that you're writing a detailed, actionable task and the details of exactly what you want to do in the description, right? If it's too vague or too big of a task, you won't do it. So actually, I have a kind of a bad example here, right? So here I have like recruiting as a 2 hour block. Now, if I'm painting all day and then I get to my callbacks and I know who I'm calling back and I do those callbacks, and then I get to a 2 hour block that just says recruiting, and I don't have any specific details in that recruiting block, I'm probably not going to do anything, or I'm going to refer back to default back to something that's easier, like going back to painting. Yeah, I'm just going to go crank out this job and not do this recruiting thing because it's too big of a chunk. But if I make that 2 hour recruiting block really specific, actionable, outcome oriented, and I say in this recruiting block, I am going to use ChatGPT to help me create my ideal painter application form, and I'm going to post it on Indeed and put a $10 per day budget, right? That's my outcome for this 2 hour block. Then I have a specific outcome. And now when I get to this 2 hour recruiting block, I'm going to be that much more likely to do those things, which is in turn going to get me further along. So to be, yeah, again, we just went through that. So once your high value priorities are scheduled, then you can schedule in any painting or any production related things that you want to do. And it's really important for you not to deviate from your plan, right? You need to be disciplined. This isn't going to be easy to start. It will be hard and you're going to fall off and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to go back to the easy thing for a little while. But as long as you come back and recognize what you're trying to do to become that 7-figure CEO, you will come back to it, right? You just need to be disciplined. Now, the next is a 3D activity, right? This is do, delegate, or dump. So out of all the things you're doing in a day, should you continue doing them? Should you delegate them, or should you dump them, as in like stop doing them altogether? And we have an activity here for you, right? I have a really specific process / activity for you to follow to make this super easy. And essentially what it is, it's a spreadsheet and then an action plan. So this is just the spreadsheet. I'll get you the action plan after this. But essentially, you're going to put every task that you do in a week. Does it give you energy? Does it drain you energy? And how many hours per week does it actually take you? What's the hourly rate that it costs or would cost to potentially delegate this? And am I going to delegate it? And ultimately, this is going to be your plan to enable your team to take on a lot of the tasks you're doing. Even if you don't have a team, even if you only have like one person, you want to hire a VA one day, this will really help you get back your time. So you're going to list out all of the activities that you're doing, how much time they take each week, and it will help you identify what you want to continue doing versus what you want to stop doing. And an important factor is, does it give you energy or does it drain your energy, right? Because there's some things in business that might not be the highest value activity, like a lower value activity, but it just gives you so much energy and you just love it, right? Like when I was running my painting business, I love to spend 2 hours every Sunday and do my job costing. Like, could I hired a bookkeeper for like $50 a week and they would have done my job costing? Sure. But I love doing it because I got to see how much money I made. Like that was the time for me to see how much money I made. I just loved it. But ultimately, doing that will allow you to craft the business around what you want to do. And it'll allow you at the end of the day to get home and be super satisfied and happy with the job you did instead of exhausted and irritable. Because ultimately, I'm a family man. I like to get home. I like to be with my family and be present and be happy. And when I have a great day at work, I'm with my family, I'm happy, everything's great. But if I have a crappy day at work, I'm doing things I don't want to be doing, I'm not the man that I want to be when I get with my kids and my wife. So I know that what I do in the day has a direct impact on who I am at home. And this will allow you to do that. Now, I'm going through all of these at a very high level, and you're probably not going to retain or take specific action from this, right? You got 19 more amazing presentations that you're going to be going through over the next 2 days. But again, I want you to take action. I really want you to know this and understand this and do this because it's such a fundamental skill for you to learn. So I put together a free in-depth mini course for you with all of these resources that you need to be successful with this, and you're going to be able to go through it after Contractor Impact. So if you go to paintergrowth.com/impact, if someone can just put that in the chat for me, that would be really great, Taryn, if you could do that, or whoever. Paintergrowth.com/impact, you're going to get a free mini course with all of this stuff. And I'm actually going to remind you to go through it in 2 days. Yeah, trying to remember to do this after 19 speakers will be impossible. So if you go get the free mini course, I'm going to remind you in 2 days to revisit it, go through it. You're going to have 15 plus resources, recording of this, plus a whole bunch of other templates and stuff, and make it just that much easier for you to use. Yeah, I'm going to put the recording of this, 15 plus other high value priority management resources to make this as simple as possible for you to take action and learn. Because like I said, this is going to be the most important skill that you ever learn in your business. Using these tools are going to make it much easier to implement rather than just trying to do it on your own. And I just want nothing more than you guys to be successful on this. Now, step 4 is to be ruthless with your time. You must check your calendar multiple times per day, including as soon as you wake up, and do your best to follow your plan. If creating a habit is hard, you can start by setting a timer to go off every 2 hours during the day. Now, we've worked with over 600 painting contractors in the last 2.5 years here at Painter Growth. And I know that starting something one time is easy, right? But sticking with it for the long term is hard. It's super, super hard to learn a new activity, to learn something new that you've never done before, right? Which is why accountability is so valuable, right? Which is my final step here, is to get accountability and support. A huge change like this, which literally, when I say a huge change, becoming accountable with your time versus staying in a reactive state where you may have been living for the last 1 to 20 years, it can be really tough to stick with for the long term, especially if you've never done anything like this before. So ultimately, that's what we do here at Painter Growth, right? We do business training, we do coaching, we provide support, and ultimately we give painting contractors the accountability that they need to be successful in their own businesses. Now, I'm going to do a quick little overview of what we're trying to do here, and then I'm going to open up some Q&A. But basically, in the painting industry right now, in Canada and the US, there are over 200,000 independent painting contractors. And according to some sources I found, IBIS World and others, there over 80% of painting contractors do not have any formal business training or education beyond a high school diploma. Yet, they expect to have the skills necessary to grow and manage a 7-figure business. And it's very often fighting a losing battle. Some people have just the natural charisma and talent to be successful at it right on your own. And if that's the case, amazing, good for you. But the vast majority do not. So imagine trying to learn jujitsu without a coach, only by getting into the ring, right? Every single day, you just go in, you get into the ring, and you get your ass kicked by black belts, and because you've never gotten any training, right? You need a coach. You need to learn. You need to sharpen the saw. Yeah, I can't even imagine doing that. So, I mean, I've had coaches every step of my business and my life, and it's been absolutely invaluable. Now, this education gap has led to an incredibly fragmented industry, making it very unlikely for your average contractor to scale their business successfully. The cards are very literally stacked against you. So at Painter Growth, our mission is to bridge the gap between business education and the painting industry. And by 2035, we're going to help over 10,000 painting contractors by giving them the crucial business skills they need to build and sustain successful businesses, ultimately improving their financial and family situations. And we're well on our way. We have a long way to go. And we're just getting started here, right? We've helped about 600 contractors so far, and we're speeding up. But yeah, thank you for your continued support. And yeah, big things are coming for the industry. So if you want to remember these skills that I taught you, I just went on a very high level, but to truly learn these and solidify these in your lexicon and in your daily day-to-day grind, grab that free toolkit, and I'll remind you in 2 days to open it up and go through it. So let's take a look at some Q&A. If anyone has any questions
Dude,
about it, you can
hold,
pop it in the
hold
chat.
on, Mike. I just want to say, man, that was awesome, dude. What an amazing topic to lead off with. Um, fantastic, man. Fantastic.
So I see a good question here. I want to implement from Kaylee. I want to implement block scheduling. I've tried, but I can't get my employees on board. They want to use an online calendar. How should I help implement this change? Kaylee, do you want to come up and chat about this? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I can do it. So if you want to chat about it, hit the raise hand button and I can actually turn your mic on. So Kaylee, she's in business. She's coming up. Kaylee, can you hear us?
I can.
Welcome. Go ahead,
Cool.
Mike. Take it away.
So Kaylee, do you personally use block scheduling and you're like yourself?
So I have tried. I've tried it multiple times. I actually came from healthcare. So I was very used to block scheduling. I had patients scheduled on me every, hour or whatever. And so that was like my biggest jump whenever I went to owning a business. But I cannot get my staff to either respect the blocks, or they're just like, oh, I forgot you had that going on. So well, I already scheduled something, so can you just change yours? It's a very every time I try to do it, it's like I either I hit a wall, or it's just trying to get scheduling on the same boat with everybody's been really hard. So if you have
What industry are you in?
flooring.
Flooring. Okay. I mean, number one, like you want to lead by example, right? So you want to set your calendar, and if you're, how many techs do you have?
So I have three installers that
Installers.
run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number one is lead
It's
by
really
example.
not them. It's my salesperson that really becomes more.
Your salesperson. And how do they come in and take your time away from you?
We share an office.
Okay.
So they're always with me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, what I would do is, yeah, lead by example, have your own calendar. You can share your calendar with them on Google. And if you have
Okay.
something else that is going on during a time where they're trying to double schedule you, I think the best thing you can do is just say no.
Okay.
Like, I have another thing, you have access to my calendar. And it's going to be really hard to do that because you're going to see like, oh, I'm going to lose money by saying no right now. Or we might not land this job because I'm saying no right now.
Okay.
But like to expand your time horizon for how you're thinking from like today, this week, this month, you want to think about like this quarter, this year, the next 3 years. And if I say no right now, even though I might lose this job, even though I'm going to piss him off, like, is that going to be helpful over the next 3 months or next 6 months?
Sure.
So I think it's just saying no and just like putting your foot down. It's like, dude, this is
Sure.
my calendar. You have access to my calendar. So my door's locked until 1 or whatever the time is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I would try. Hopefully that
Awesome.
helps, Kaylee. Good luck.
All right, we got someone else here. We got Brandon who wants to come on up. What's up, Brandon? Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Hey, Brandon.
Sure can.
Great. How's everybody doing? That was an awesome presentation. And I just wanted to ask, like, do you think your company would help someone that's doing around like 1 million a year grow to maybe like 10? Like, is that like a possibility of like, would a coach really help someone go from, we're pretty good, but I feel like we could be excellent, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. Like that, what I find is a lot of, what's your industry, Brandon?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's your industry?
Painting.
Painting. Okay, great. My man. What I find is that a lot of painting business owners kind of hit that $1 million mark, and that's when things start to break down. Like you can really, it works for this like term, but like you can hustle your way to 1 million because 1 million is like 10 to 12 painters. You can do it estimating yourself. You can still run your own production. Maybe you have a production manager or some helpers, some really solid crew leads. But ultimately, to get beyond 1 million, to start running multiple estimators, multiple project managers, you need structure, you need systems, you need process. And that the beauty of it is that path is like well trodden. It's not a new path you need to go down to become a $5 or $10 million painting business. It's like it's very specific and very obvious what you need to do from there. But yeah, if you're trying to do it on your own, it will be very challenging. Not to say you can't do it, but it's just going to take a lot longer. So some coaching, some accountability, some structure will certainly help you speed up that path.
Yeah, I like what you said about how hustle to 1 million, because like that's legitimately what it's been, right? So switching from hustling over to, you know, owning, I feel like is a huge difference.
Yeah, shoot me an email after this, Mike@paintergrowth.com, and I'll hop on and we can just take a look at your business.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man, all
Beautiful,
good.
beautiful. Let's go, guys. Hey, listen, don't be afraid to raise your hand, ask a question. Everyone's probably thinking of the question you want to ask anyway, right? So let's jump in. I got Michael Baldwin. Come on up, man.
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing?
Hey, Michael, love the name.
Yeah, thank you. There are many of us, and we are proud. So my question goes to your coaching program. What have you seen as far as success is concerned in coaching, contractors? What are the 2 or 3 things that you've seen your members do that have contributed the most to their success? Like, your top 10%, what are the things they're doing to win?
Totally. That's a great question. And we actually did kind of like a meta analysis of our top clients at the start of this year. And the way I categorize the top clients is like, did I do a testimonial video with them? Because I've like done dozens of them, and almost every single person who has done a testimonial with me, the very first thing they did when they joined is they went through and they probably spent like 12 hours just like devouring our content and going through every single video that we have, not for the not like to implement it immediately, but just to devour it and go through it and see what was there. And then what they would do is go back and then implement it from the start. So it's probably just that like jumping in with both hands, not like being scared to learn something new, to try something new. It's just like that buy-in, that like voracious hunger to learn. And then of course, excuse making, right? With that victim mentality. If you come in and you tell me that something isn't going to work in your business or in your area because your daddy hit you, or because your city's different, or because you live in Orlando, or because you live in New York, or whatever, if you tell me a reason why this isn't going to work in your area, I promise you it won't work. But if you come in and tell me, all right, I haven't been able to figure it out yet, right? That slight shift in mindset, you almost certainly will be successful because you're open to iterating. So those are kind of the 2 things that immediately come to mind, Michael. Is he still up? You're muted, Michael, if you're trying to say something.
No, that's awesome. Thank you. And yeah, really appreciate it, Mike. And if we run out of people, I do have another question, but I'll pass it on to Aiden next.
Let's go. You got it, Tanner? Aiden, let's go.
Hey, am I coming through?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Awesome. All right. Let's talk to the sole proprietors real quick. So how can we prioritize block scheduling to bring it to the next level? Because I'm pretty new to it, but I am using it.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for asking that question, because I know there's a lot of sole proprietors here, right? It's the single biggest type of contractor. There's way more sole proprietors than there are $1 million businesses. So yeah, thanks for asking that question. And I think that really goes back to number one is like, what is your goal? What are you trying to get to? So Aiden, are you do you want to like start multiple crews? Do you want to get off the tools?
That's the plan. Yes. Eventually, obviously, you have to start hiring. That's the first process,
And
right?
how much work do you have booked out right now?
Right now, we're through to the winter. I got that
Oh.
all cooked up, and I'm right now booking for our spring.
My man, this is perfect. All right. So what I'd recommend for you is to get all of your jobs into a production schedule. So we have a spreadsheet. Like Drip Jobs has a really good production schedule. We use a simple spreadsheet where we can track our different crews and what job we're doing. So what we do is we put all of our production into one basically vertical column if we're the only crew. And then what we would do is pick a start date of when we're going to start our second crew. So say it's July 30th right now. We want to start our crew on August 15th. So we're going to take half of that remaining work and move it over to starting on August 15th. Right. And then for the next 2 weeks, like if you think about what you do in a day, okay, I'm painting. I'm too busy because I'm painting all day, right? You have no time. Yeah. Now, if you took 2 hours per day, or say 2 days per week, and you cut that off of painting. So say you lose out on $75 an hour times 16. So you're losing out on $1,300 per week, right? If you took 2 days off of not painting. And you just told your customers, you set the expectation, hey, we just paint Monday to Wednesday, or for the next 2 weeks, I'm only painting Monday to Wednesday. And then all day Thursday, all day Friday, you spent recruiting, posting on Indeed, talking to the paint store, doing interviews, doing second interviews, doing callbacks, all this stuff. Within 2 or 3 weeks, you would have a couple great painters, like ready to go, ready to start working for you. Right. And so you think about that investment in your business, and same with that previous question I asked or responded to Kaylee. It's like, what is your time horizon? Is your time horizon 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, or a year or more? And how are you investing your time towards that time horizon? So right now, if you are just like, you're probably in like this week, next 2 weeks, because you're producing. But if you think, okay, is this going to further my business over the next 3 months? Am I doing the best thing possible? So I would just restructure your time and and just tell yourself you're not producing for however many hours per week it's going to take you to recruit, and get those painters going as quickly as possible. Redo your production schedule so you can have that second crew scheduled start date. And then it's going to be even harder once you start those painters, because you're still not going to be producing. You're going to be training. And when you're on site, I don't want you to be producing. I want you to be spending your time developing their skills, making sure they're managing their time properly, they're being productive, because this is so much more valuable for your business than just painting.
So,
If you want any of those templates I mentioned, the production planner, again, shoot me an email, Mike at Painter Growth. I'll shoot those over to you. Yeah, we could definitely support you.
Beautiful. Mike, I got one more question for you, man, and then we're capped out. So Justin, you're up, brother.
Hey Mike, how you doing?
Good, Justin. What's up, man?
Hey, real quick. So when you're looking at your block scheduling and kind of looking through your life and how to schedule, what are the best increments to start out with? Like, do I need to look at over the hour? Do I need to look at like 15, 20 minutes? And then how do you because like you had the spreadsheet of like ordering out your kind of life's tasks. What are the how do you differentiate how much time you need to give to certain tasks? Is there a process?
I mean, there's kind of a process, but also there's some self-learning, right? So initially, I would probably just recommend doing an hour blocks. Like right when you're getting started, give everything at least an hour. If you need to travel, put in your travel time. And the important thing is iterating on your process and figuring out how you actually work. So at the end of each day, look back at your calendar and ask yourself, does this accurately represent what my day looked like? And your goal is by the end of each day, to have your calendar look like a true representation of your day. So if you did deviate from your plans, like, oh, it took me an extra 15 minutes to do this task. Oh, I forgot to account for this 15-minute drive time. Go back and change what your schedule looked like. So as you look back, you can see what your true days look like. You can see what you actually got done. And learning how you work and how long things take you will allow you to be better at block scheduling in the future. Thanks for listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.